Peace, family. What's up with it, y'all? What's up with it, y'all? Bill Jabiri in the building. Welcome to the Al Jaheez podcast, fam. Appreciate y'all rocking with me. Today I'm gonna be doing a critique on Verse video, correcting some of the non-scientific statements that was made, and some of the some of the sources they used was, was a little pseudo. So I'm gonna get into that later on and explain some of these migration patterns that seem to be a lot of revisionary work. We're gonna get it in. Right on for rocking with me, fam, tonight. Peace. Well, what's good with it, y'all? What's good with it? I'm back, fam. Just had to step away for a minute to get my sources together, man. Welcome to the Al Jaheez podcast again, family. We really get into the science, into the step-by-step. We get into the step-by-step and slow down version of this science. Hopefully, Brother Ngozi join me tonight. We can get it in. We discuss some of the problems and issues that was said in this Verse video, Sons of the Pharaoh. I don't got nothing personal against that brother, but his information is way off to me. Way off. Especially when it comes to West African history, Egyptian history. They're trying to make everything Egyptian, Egyptianize everything. Welcome, fam. I see who got in the building. Got Dash Ram, Jagad Davis. he say pseudoverse is all about fake pictures info. Yeah, that's all he about. The AI shit. AI information. Got a couple of books too. I probably gonna be using as a companion to break some stuff down tonight. I'm gonna have to use my laptop and my phone. Hold on, let me log in. Let me log in with my phone real quick. log in with my phone too. Peace with it, y'all. Peace, fam. Peace, fam. What's up with it? Right on for rocking with me, y'all. Appreciate y'all. Welcome to the Al Jaheez podcast, aka the House of Wisdom, the book of animals, the book of history, the book of anthropology, biology. We can get into all that on this podcast. Well, yeah, we got smoke tonight. Y'all know it's for the, y'all know what that be. Y'all know what that be. We smoke them and we finna go flow. We finna go in. I'm finna log in with my phone as well. So I can have two different ways. Cause I got sources on my phone as well that I want to use that's easy access that I can get to it from my computer. Co-host. Yeah, I heard. Hello? Hello? I'll make sure I want no sound interference. There we go. We in there like swimwear. Okay, let me get into this video, y'all. Cam's versus the sons of the Pharaoh. We're looking at this video. I've been looking at this video for a little minute, trying to poke the holes that he got on his with this argument for trying to connect West Africa to Egypt. It's cultural ways to connect the East to the West, but the way he does it is way far-fetched. It's a lot of in between. It's a real complex thing. You know what I'm saying? Just like we can connect Indian people to people in the East in certain manners. For a culture, for its culture exchange, they both in Asia, but they do overlap in certain ways of culture, like the Buddhism in East Asia comes from the Indus Valley, things like that. And it's kind of the same way that was going on in Africa as well. You have different overlapping cultures. Sometimes one culture might have a contact with a particular culture, and that culture might be related to a certain culture, and then you might have some of the same affinities within that culture, even if one of the cultures didn't never meet each other. It'd just be one culture met a culture that other culture was related to, instead of interacting with the actual culture that is claimed to be. Peace, y'all. DQ in the building. Right on, bro. What's good with it? Right on, rock with me. Peace. What's up with it? Sayan, nigga, it's my guy. I'm finna make DQ get DQ a wrench, man. He need one. He pseudo killer official in this thing. Make him a moderator. There we go. Yeah, DQ that wrench. Gang, we in this thing. You hear me? So I'm gonna get into this video, man. Hopefully Brother Ngozi can join me. I'm gonna text him, tell him I'm live. I want him to go into this with me too, because he get into the genetics. And man, this dude, man, I don't know what it is. I don't know Kamsi verse. I ain't never seen. He don't even show his face a lot. But man, this dude makes up a lot of stuff, yo. I'm telling Gozy I'm live. You're probably watching right now. Probably watching right now. It's gonna be a fun show though, yeah. It's gonna be a fun, laid back show tonight. It's Gullah Jabiri at the movies tonight. That's what we doing. It's like Unc them say. Gullah Jabiri at the movies, yo. I'm gonna send the link. I'm gonna send the link in the chat later as well. I'll put my hit the Cash App up too, man. Support my channel, y'all. You know what I'm saying? I want to do more things. I want to do way more things to this channel, like for us, like visuals, presentations, and things like that. So support the channel, man. If you especially want to hear some real concrete, objective information, you go straight up the middle, straight headshots. We don't play around with it. We're gonna handle this like surgery. Just put the Cash App in the chat. If y'all want to show me some love, appreciate it. Let me show my screen real quick. Let me get that video. Let me get that video together. Comedy verse. Dude's hilarious. So I'm really serious about this subject, especially anthropology, man. Like I can smell the bull crumbs from a mile away. This is gonna be hilarious, y'all.
Correspondences between Tutankhamun.
Hold on. Yeah, I heard your boy. Barack Obama. Barack, it's because you sound like Barack Obama. Just because you put your Barack Obama voice on, and when your information all the way together, brother. It's all good though. I appreciate it anyway, brother Sayani. Appreciate it anyway. Hopefully when my channel grow, I'll be able to have that what they call it, the chat, the chat patriot or whatever. Give me some most subscribers. Mm-hmm. Y'all see the screen? I bet. Everybody see the screen? Push one if you can see the screen. What's the D say, Gully? If we could set up something for $1 amount, will you and Gozy debate controversy? Yeah, I debate them. I definitely debate controversy. I don't got nothing against the brother. I think he a good dude, but his information is way off. Like, I wish he was on. Like, I wish, like, I could tell he a smart dude, but he got his little biases or whatever. But I wish he would, stick to the straight up real actual science instead of fringe and pseudosciences, Afrocentric sciences. I mean, ain't nothing wrong with ain't nothing wrong with loving Africa. I love Africa myself. When I say Afrocentric or Egyptocentric, I mean like when people be all over the place and try to unify Africa like this. It was this one kumbaya type of situation. You had different tribes, different ethnic groups, respectively. And I say this respectively. We had different tribes, different ethnic groups, different people, and I respect the people of the continent so much that I'd rather call them by their traditional names and what them people call themselves. Instead of just trying to unify everything and just respect Africa for what it is, how it is. It's more than one way to be African. Africa is the continent. We gotta stay away from just being married to the name of Africa. It's not even because it really for real, the continent don't have a name. You know what I'm saying? We call it a name today, you know what I'm saying, as a tool of you know what I'm saying, the description of in science today to understand what that continent is. But on the ground, in reality, you know what I'm saying, the history, you know, the people of the continent really never really had a concept of continent to, you know, more recent times, you know, European colonialism. They really had that concept is pretty new, you know what I'm saying, for its continents. And, you know, we went by our region, our kingdoms, and things of that nature. The Egyptians don't do tribes. Egyptians was tribes. They always were. They was clans. Egyptians was different clans. They always was tribes. They were different North Euretric tribes. Okay.
As many of y'all who are well studied already know, the civilizations of the classical Happy River Valley represent the apex of traditional African culture. They also house the majority of the
You remember it's the same source that Unc them had used from the museum. They were talking about Reggie. He was, you know, when they went in and said that, you know, just because they have similarities don't mean they have a direct contact. Stuff spread, don't always spread directly.
socio-political and material cultural prototypes of contemporary Africa. The Happy River Valley cradle, from a cultural substratum perspective, is important because the majority of the evolutionary.
No, y'all want no tribal free people like that because British had y'all under they boot. For real. No disrespect though, you know what I'm saying? We all as people, every culture had its, you know what I'm saying, had its underdog time period or whatever.
Root of modern African societies can absolutely not be found in the Green Sahara, as is brilliantly articulated in the analysis of Dr. Musa Lamb. These evolutionary roots can also not be found in the unconfirmed area of linguistic diffusion called Negro Congo or Niger Congo that has been thoroughly dismantled by scholars such as Kenneth Olson.
Which is not true. Is this the right video? Hold on, I'll make sure it's the right video. 30 minutes. Yes, it's the right one.
Despite the attempts by unlearned naysayers Congo that has been thoroughly dismantled by scholars such as Kenneth Olson. Despite the attempts by unlearned naysayers against the idea of intracontinental.
Kenneth Olson is just one person. Most of the consensus, even though the language family is still being worked out, is a working hypothesis as we speak, you know what I'm saying, still being worked out. We have the closest thing that more so than anything, you know what I'm saying? So you can't say he smashed just because one guy has his opinion. You know what I'm saying? It's a language, you know, it's something there, no matter what we call it. We can call it the banana language. This particular languages have similarities, you know what I'm saying? It has its substratum and it's close together. I'm speaking of Niger Congo language. Any other language family, they have their similarities and their roots and things like that. You could tell they're part of the same language group. And then you still have overlapping too of other language families too with these different languages from other language families. You have overlapping as well. We have oral language or words and stuff like that all throughout the continent.
Continental commerce and socio-political affiliation colonial Africa, the available genetic, archaeological, and historical evidence firmly establishes a deep interconnected Africa with countless intracontinental diasporas, such as the Makushi diaspora.
Now, this the part that really gets me, because a lot of these migrations I never heard of ever. I never read any book about these migrations ever. I don't know who the Makushi diaspora is, 16th century BC. I don't know what language these people spoke. Uh, I don't even know where he got this source from. He don't even recite where he got this particular source from. The Makushi diaspora. I know you did have several migrations that did go into Western Central Africa, you know what I'm saying, over different periods of the Heliocene period. I never heard of this 16th century BCE migration.
River that spread from ancient Kush in the 16th century BCE to the Jaliba River Valley in West Africa, the Congo River Valley in Central Africa, as well as the Limpopo and Zambezi River valleys in Southeast Africa. The Puda Ponda diaspora that spread from the 3rd century BCE to Central and Southern Africa. The Lamont.
You heard that, brother Sayanic? He said the people from Punt migrated to West and Central Africa. So we got Somalians that migrated to what? Somalis, Eritreans, and Horners. They migrated that way during that particular time period in that way. I don't think that ever happened.
Ande diaspora that spread from the 5th century.
You say the Lamanda in the 5th century BCE. And I don't know if he's saying that the Lamanda or he's saying that these people are the Mande people. And if he's saying that they migrated to the 15th century, that's very, very, that'd be a very current date for the Mande migrations. But the Mande been in West Africa since the 5th millennium BCE. Even before then, but we find a record of them in Dortechet in areas like that around 5th millennium BCE. And I'm gonna get into that. I'm gonna show the sources too. We got sources tonight. Let me show you. Let me show you a couple of my sources. Got Kuma Malinki historiography, Kieta to Alame Samari Torre. This is the book of mostly a lot of Mandinka history, because he talked about the Mandinka. He messes the whole history up. Of course, I got this one. Working with this tonight, and I got some other sources in my PDF files too. Working with this one tonight. African civilizations. Might pull some out of here. I got the digital copy, but I'm gonna pull some out of here. Show the digital copy. Dominion of Africa. This is about medieval West African history. We got the Bantu Africa. Oxford print. Okay, let me get it in.
BCE Meroe to the entirety of the Saharo-Sahelian zone. The Kasara diaspora, which represents 3rd century Kushites migrating from their former West Asian vassals of ancient Kimi into Western, Central, and Southern Africa. And the Shangala diaspora, which represent post.
Shangala diaspora. Pool. He really talking about the Fulani or the Fulbe and Sangala migrations. Never heard of that. Saying that these people split from that, but I got the actual paper of the full Fulani genome, and it's real complex. It's not like the Fulani, not even really a homogeneous population like that. Like, how did Fulani just migrate that way? If Fulani is related to Wolof, Serer, other Atlantic Congo languages like Bak, Balanta, other languages in that Senegambian region that is closely related to, how you skip over all them languages, say, the people just migrated, that way. We're gonna get it in though too, because the Fulani is really complex.
Pharaonic refugees from ancient Kimi in the Jaliba and Senegal River valleys of West Africa, the Bada Biafra in what is now Nigeria and Cameroon, the Congo River Valley of Central Africa, and the Great Lakes region of Southeast Africa. Nagash and Shackley's archaeometric and geochemical analyses of obsidian toolkits in the Diri Dawa, Ethiopia, confirms evolutionary evidence for long-distance trade among Homo sapiens as far back as the Middle Stone Age, 60,000 years ago.
He tried to use this to justify his argument, but this source had nothing to do with that. It said Nagash and Shickley utilized instrumentation techniques such as XRF to geochemical provinces. The source 31 Middle Stone Age obsidian tools recorded from the archaeological site Park Epic situated in Dora Dawa, Ethiopia. Based on elemental composition of artifacts, the material from obsidian sources supplemented by stylistic similarities of the obsidian tools, Nagash and Shickley concluded that the obsidian was transported to distance over 250 kilometers away. There it was used to make tools. This implicates the possible existence of trade and exchange as an integral component of modern human behavior during the Middle Stone Age, 6,000. Yeah, we know humans have long migration, but you can't use this to justify your far-fetched ideas. This ain't have nothing to do with connection with Egypt and going into West Africa. It's just showing you that humans always had communicative and trade. They always had these industries where they traded different goods and stuff like that in the Middle Stone Age period, all the way up until then.
Distance trade among Homo sapiens as far back as the Middle Stone Age, 60,000 years ago. The analysis of Shadrach Chirikuri of Oxford shows that Happy River Valley populations engaged in extensive metallurgical trade with ancient cultures in West Africa, beginning at least 10,000 years ago and intensifying.
He lied. This only got nothing to do with no metal trading from Egypt to West Africa. These people develop iron smelting and things, copper smelting and all like that independently, especially in West Africa. And then in Sudan, they had their own independent way. They came up with their type of iron smelting stuff like that. But the oldest iron smelting is in the Adamawa. It's really in the Adamawa regions, in Western Central Africa, especially Central Africa, like in the Adamawa Plateau, in those regions, like the Gur, the Adamawa and the Gur, the Zandi, like Ubangian type people. A lot of them were the earlier metallurgy. Even his source don't even say nothing what he's talking about. They say from the 10th years ago onward, communities in the Sahara and the Nile Valley were involved in trade and exchange. And by the by 5,000 BCE, had acquired domestic animals from Asia. Of course, this is Sahara and the Nile Valley. It's right there. It's not easy. And it's when they most likely speaking of the Sahara, they're talking about like the Eastern Sahara region. And then the people from the Eastern Sahara region, of course, they intermingle with people that is farther west too. So it's not like a direct link. And it said had acquired domestic animals from Asia. Oxen, 2,800 CE, and the Roman and post-Roman North Africa to the post 340 CE. Use coinage as the medium of trade. Coinage was, however, not the only currency. Sensu medium of exchange used among the crew, Liberia. This don't have nothing to do with what he's talking about. none this source right here. And then he don't even really show his source where he getting it from. He just copy and paste and just put it right here. He never shows the actual source where he's actually getting it from.
In subsequent millennia. According to Dr. Kevin McDonald, the Capsian culture and Cartemian culture, typified by the lighter-bound Horizon complex, played a primary role in the peopling of Western Africa from the Central and Eastern Saharo-Sahelian zone. The Gajigana
right there.
Curry of Oxford shows the Happy River Valley populations engaged in extensive metallurgical trade with ancient cultures in West Africa, beginning at least 10,000 years ago and intensifying in subsequent millennia. According to Dr. Kevin McDonald, the Capsian culture and Cartemian culture, typified by the lighter-bound Horizon complex, played a primary role in the peopling of West.
He said the Capsian culture and this Letterbond culture complex were the main source of the peopling of West and Central Africa. This dude is crazy. He said, what facts haven't heard one?
Western Africa from the
Hold on. Hold on, now let me get into this, right? He said the Capsian people or the ancestors of Western Central Africa. And even right here, this is what he insinuated. And even his source beat him up anyway, because his source don't even say that at all. It said, what does fall within our remnant? However, is an explanation of present distribution of Berber and Chadic languages. Claims for okay. It said claims for cultural and or population movements out of the Northeast Africa have been legion to the African archaeology. However, in the preceding session, we have heard the best substantiated cases down to 10,000 to 9,000 BP, the Capsian of the Maghreb, with whom the Natufian connection have been postulated, and which has more defiant cultural connections extending at least to Libyan lateral. Say nothing about no West Africa. 5,000 to 4,000 BP, the Little Band complex expanded from the Upper Nile and to the Lake Chad Basin further westward. And these basically, the Little Band people are basically like Nilo-Saharan groups, but the Capsian culture or the ancestors of Berbers. Show y'all something real quick. Capsian culture, right? Yeah, right here. Capsian culture. Christopher Ehret, African civilization, African civilizations. Well, civilizations of Africa. Page 147. Let me show, hold on. My phone, hold on real quick. Y'all hear me? I was gonna try to show it on my screen for my phone, but it's gonna keep echoing. Just read it though. It's a west of Egypt, a narrow strip of Mediterranean steep climate extended along the southern shores of the Mediterranean Sea as far as present-day Tunisia. From there to the Atlantic Ocean, the regions known today as the Maghreb, consisting of the most Tunisia and the northern parts of modern-day Algeria and Morocco. A much wider band of both Mediterranean savanna and the steep extended 300 and 350 kilometers southward before giving way to the south to the arid desert of the savanna regions. From the 6th to the 4th millennia, these areas supported Afrasian-speaking populations, descendants of the Capsian people, who raised sheep, goats, and cattle, donkey. Gradually over the period, they increased their reliance on the civilization of grains and other crops. Because they lived in the Mediterranean climate zone, their most important crop tended to be the Middle Eastern rather than the sub-Saharan origin. Wheat and barley, we suspect, were the staples, but the farmers of these regions early on may also have adapted such Sudanic crops as melons and gourds. You know, they was mixing with Nilo-Saharans, in certain regions too that they were trading off with, these Capsian Proto-Berber populations. Even right here, it says sometimes in the later half of the 3rd millennium, one Afrasian people of the Maghreb region, whom we call the Proto-Amazigh, began to far-flung expansion. Historians have commonly called these people the Berbers. That's what these Capsian, those are the descendants of the Capsians, Capsian culture. Share my screen, so I'm gonna show you something else. Real quick. Stop sharing. I'm gonna find it real quick. I got a source by Roger Blanche. My Google Drive real quick. All right, I got this source right here. Evolution of foraging and transmission of pastoralism in the Sahara. Go down a bit. I might switch to my phone because this computer kind of slow. I'm probably just switch. I'm gonna just switch to the phone, y'all. Do it that way. I'm gonna switch it. I'm gonna switch my phone because I can get to my sources way easier from my phone. So I'm gonna show y'all this. I can get to my sources way easier from my phone. Okay, can y'all see that? We got the evolution of foraging and the transition of pastoralism in the Sahara. So I'm gonna go down to right here, Capsian. This is a paper by Roger Blanche, linguist and anthropologist. He said the Capsians was the Neolithic culture centered in the Maghreb and lasted about 10,000 of 4,700 BP. It's almost certainly coming out of the Near East and associated with the spread of pastoral lifestyle along with the North African coast. It was named for Capsa in Tunisia. The Capsians were principally foragers, and the lower shale mounds they left provide evidence of seashore gathering. I'm going in where he talked about right here he goes into where they might have, they were the ancestors of the modern day Berbers. And of course they they had, they were mixed with, Asian, because they had, during this time period, a lot of back migrations from Asia, and they were bringing in goats, sheep, and cows into North Africa at this time period. My bro said, "Man, what's good with the metro?" He said, "Damn, I'm late." You good, bro? We getting in. I'm just showing some sources, because Comsverse was claiming that the Capsians were the ancestors of modern West and Central Africans. And even right here, it say, in the view of the gap between dates and the next evidence for the cultivation of North Africa, it is plausible that the experience, the experiment was not judged a success, and the populations reverted to the pastoral foraging lifestyle. Evidence of ceramic in North Africa is not quite as easy as in the Central Sahara, but it may be merely matter of the time before similar dates found. Certainly, the Capsians adopted cooking pots as early as 7,000 BP. Some authors have offered a Spurgius with the spread of the Afro-Asiatic languages. But as Blanche points out, the Berber languages are far too closely related to be responsible for the Capsian expansion. Evidence for the nature of the spiritual life among Ibero-Maurusian is lacking, although extremely necklaces from the Moroccan sites points to the interest of personal or ornaments. With the arrival of the Capsians, pointers to the religious concepts appeared abundance. Decorate art and widely found at the sites, including that the figurines of the rock art. But Roger Blanche, he has his own claim that the Capsians, even though he have a claim go back and forth with himself that they might have spoke Afro-Asiatic language, but he has his own proposal of this language that he got called Old Ancient North African, which is basically like the language family of the Ibero-Maurusians. And he goes in on, I'm trying to find where he talk about the Onanian culture, which would be actually the ancestors of modern West Africans, who brought in the Niger Kaddofian language family. So I think it's on a different source. It's on this one right here. He go into it on depth, and this is another Roger Blanche paper. Africa over the last 12,000 years, how we can interpret the interface of archaeology and linguistics. Here you go. And on here's go right here. You go in right here where he talk about Onanian culture. He said small number of similar points were found in Cargo Oasis, The Onanian points or narrow arrowheads or projectile points in cautious language in lithics. The appearance of these across the western central Sahara can be connected with the northward movement of large animals among trans-desert corridors. With the Saharan can be connected. I mean, with the opening up of the Green Sahara, an enhanced captivity of to bring down large mammals will provide a significant competitive advantage, thereby stimulating early language expansion. The linguistic geography of the Niger Congo suggests an early split between the bow and arrow hunters and the evolution of the groups crossing and aquatic resources. Where it's showing you that some of the early Niger Kadophians or the Niger Congo language family, some became more hunters during this time period, and the other got into a more of aquatic, like boat building and more fishing type lifestyle. A lot of them also was living amongst aquatic people of the Nilo-Saharan branch of language families as well that was in that region. But I'm hold on, I'm gonna get back into the. Let me get back into the to the video as well. Okay. See the screen. Push a one or push a one in the chat if you can see the screen. Let's keep going forward. I would say put a one. Okay, bet. Okay. True right here, what he's saying right here. It was a migration of the Abu Bala routes going from what they call it the point, they call it the center point, where you got the different countries of Libya, Chad, and Sudan all meet up at. And they also have a archaeological region there called it's like a stack of different pots and all different pottery or like Egyptian pottery. So you did have a time where, Egyptian dynasties traveled and traded in these areas that kind of rolled to the Chad area when the lakes was much bigger. You had multiple lakes there too. It wasn't just Chad. Mentioned Mentuhotep the second when he traveled to Chad. Not he didn't go to actual Chad, but he sent an expedition of traders and soldiers there to like the northeastern portion of the Chadic basin or whatever. But this wasn't enough to overtake or influence the whole of West Africa. These were just little time to time, air times when these people went to those areas for trade. Why he just gonna say Andromeda's bones? He had to say all that. He couldn't. He could just give like he tried to sing like he extra smart so he can know what he's talking about. But he could have, for people that don't know, he could have just been saying, he could have told them these are different types of baboon. Exaggerated with that pseudo math right there. Even according to the evidence he showed, Punt did not stretch all the way down to the Swahili coast at all. Let me show this right here. I'm gonna go into Wiki real quick. I'm gonna show y'all the source that he's talking about. It say nothing about the Swahili coast. The land of Punt. I'm going to propose, these the proposed locations. And I'm going to the actual source, the way he was talking about the baboons. And even right here it say, in December 2022, primatologists from Dartmouth College expand tissues from mummified baboons recovering from New Kingdom to the Ptolemaic sites in Egypt that were believed to have come from Punt. The study revealed that the mummified baboons were all born outside of Egypt and were hydromous baboons. The Hamadryas baboon is a species of baboon native to the Horn of Africa and the southwest tip of Arabia Peninsula. Nowhere in Swahili coast. The strontium ration of the tooth and enamel confirmed that the baboons were born in an area stretching from present-day Eritrea, Ethiopia, and northwest Somalia. It said nothing about the Swahili coast. And let me show you too. Remember he used that. Let me show you that that's the actual source that he did use too, even though it's on Wiki. The link, if you link to the actual source, you're gonna see the same map that he showed on his video. Right here. The same map that he showed. This is the source that he got. And it said nothing about Punt stretching all the way to the Swahili coast. Can y'all hear me now? Can y'all hear me now? This Pan-African James. He said he couldn't hear the. No, I wasn't playing the audio or the video yet. I was just going into the way he was saying about the baboons, and he was trying to stretch that the Punt all stretched all the way down to the Swahili coast, which is not true at all. Go back to the video. Oh, you can hear me? Okay, bet. Let me share my screen again. Course that he wrote has nothing to do with what he's talking about. This is talking about some type of trade or interchange between during the Roman period. And he seen the Nile Valley in this quote and got excited and tried to connect it to with West Africa. And that statement, even those sources were not is not the consensus. Nobody the consensus or no, I never found no official work or any official paper that or any documents that document that Egyptians had sailed to Ireland or the British Islands or something like that or anything like that. So that was totally fabricated from fringe sources. The part which is really ridiculous to me because there's no animal ever that's called the hippopotamus niloticus. There's no species of hippopotamus called the hippopotamus niloticus. And let me show y'all, and now I'm gonna show y'all what I'm talking about. Let me show you the hippopotamus. And go into subspecies. The different classifications of hippopotamus. You got five subspecies of hippopotamus have been described based on morphology differences in skulls, as well as differences in ranges. You got the hippopotamus amphibious, you got the hippopotamus kiboko, you got the hippopotamus cabenis, the hippopotamus tachadinus, like the ones that live around Chad and Niger. You got the hippopotamus constrictus. You don't have a hippopotamus niloticus at all. The hippopotamus from that was around Egypt are called the hippopotamus amphibious. And they say the nominate subspecies ranges from Gambia, East Africa to Ethiopia, and then south to Mozambique, and historically ranged as far north as Egypt. Its skull is distinguished by a moderately reduced pre-oriental region, and bulging dorsal surface, elongated mandibulars, and symphysis. And that's the Egyptian crocodile. I mean, not crocodile, but hippopotamus. Now there is a crocodile. The now crocodile scientific name is the Crocodilius niloticus. So I'm going to show y'all this. Go now crocodile. Now you got to see, you have the Nile crocodile, which is the Crocodilius niloticus. Yeah, he made that up, James. He made the hippopotamus niloticus up. There's no species called hippopotamus niloticus. You even go into the extinct. I can even show the extinct species. It's not even extinct species at all. You got 3 species from Magazi. There was no different hippopotamus. There was the region of Madagascar. Then you had extinct hippopotamus antiquus, and these were the ones that was in the Middle Pliocene, Europe, Crete, Cyprus. You don't have no hippopotamus niloticus ever existed ever. You made that up. Go back to the video. And then too, these are wild animals. And he trying to use these wild animals to connect the people, the migration of people. These animals been moving on their own for thousands of years. That had nothing to do with the migration of humans. Now, these are not domesticated animals. It's the donkey. He's trying to be all fancy and not tell you or teach you what these scientific terms are. He just going with the scientific term, but he's talking about the donkey, the Equus africanus. And these were actually domesticated by Cushitic people in the Red Sea Hill. And I can break it down and show you the source of that later on after the video. And donkey, and also the donkey was in West. It might have been in Senegal, around 2500 CE. But the donkey been in West Africa since the Green Sahara period. It was brought in by Chadic speakers and migrated into the more West African regions from Chad. And the horse is complex. The horse breeds did come into Egypt around 1700 BCE by the Hyksos, or the Asiatic Hyksos. But the West African horses come from the Barb horses. Most West African horses come from the Barb horses. They don't even come from the Dongala horses of Sudan. A lot of people try to speculate that they came from those horses. But the Sangala horses, they came into West Africa later on to the medieval period. The indigenous West African horses come from a whole genetic gene pool than them horses do. They come from a more northwest Barb horse. The Egyptian horse type is a Barb horse type, but it's not the Barb horse type that transitioned to be the West African horses. So I don't know what he's speculating on this. Correct about this, you find a pig. I think I seen sources that found the pig a little bit earlier in Egypt than the 5th millennium. Some go back, say the 6th millennium, or something like that, go back and forth. But yeah, he's correct about this one. Yeah, he actually made this species up. There's no such camel breed called the Camellias Tomias dromadas. He mixed up two different he says no sound. Hold on. Can y'all hear me now? Oh, y'all don't hear the video. Hold on, let me go back. Hold on, I'm finna fix it real quick, y'all. Hold on.
the Central and Eastern Saharo-Sahelian zone. The Gajigana ceramic industry that can be found from Sudan to modern Nigeria validates this migrational